You ever walk into a place and just know the people inside already made up their minds about you? Yeah, that's how it started. He didn't ask my name, didn't care what I was doing there, didn't even bother to check if I was supposed to be there. Just saw a black woman, no badge showing, holding a folder, walking through the front doors of a precinct, and in his eyes, that was threat enough. That's the world we live in. You know what I mean? There's this look they give you, like you're a problem before you even open your mouth. And what happened next? Well, let's just say I wish it was shocking. But if you've ever been here, if you know, you know. I barely made it a few steps inside before he stormed over, eyes narrowed, voice way too loud for the room, already reaching for his belt like I just set off an alarm. You can't be here. Turn around and get out before I drag you out myself. And there it was, the moment. I tried to hold up the folder, tried to say something calm like, I'm here unofficial, but he didn't let me finish. He shoved me so hard into the wall my shoulder cracked. I gasped, pain sharp and instant, and suddenly his hand was twisting my wrist behind my back, all of it playing out in front of his colleagues, security cameras, the whole deal. Don't play smart, lady, he spat, like the word burned his mouth. You people think you can just walk in here. Then boot to the back of my leg, down I went. Folder flew open, papers everywhere, and right at his feet, a badge. Not just any badge, a federal one. FBI. Everything stopped. You could have heard a pin drop. He froze, mouth half open, eyes wide. Everyone in the lobby, the other officers, the desk clerk, the people waiting for records just stared. My badge on the floor, me with my arm twisted, and him, this decorated local hero, suddenly realizing he just screwed up on camera, in front of everyone. The thing is, I didn't even have to glare at him. I just looked. All that cold fire, all those years of being othered, I poured it right into that stare, and he knew. Knew he was done. But here's the real twist, thought this was all some bad luck. That I was just a nobody who'd wandered into the wrong place at the wrong time. He had no idea I'd been watching him for months. I was already building a case, stringing together all the complaints, excessive force, missing evidence, racial profiling. Victims too scared to talk. Superiors too lazy or too complicit to care. But I cared. That's why I walked in with no badge showing, no backup, no warning. I wanted to see who'd show their teeth when they thought I was nobody. Yes, he volunteered. You'd think after that moment, the badge on the floor, the cameras rolling, get it. But he still clung to that badge, like it was armor. Still thought his years on the force, his good boy network, would bail him out. Still believed an apology tossed my way would erase what everyone just saw. But that day? That was the last day he thought he was untouchable. Everything he'd buried, every victim he'd mocked, every cover-up, suddenly, I had it all. And while he tried to save face, tried to help me up, the lobby was already buzzing with panic. Let me back up a sec, because to really get how this hit, you need to know where I came from. Name's Jordan Miles. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, saw firsthand how law enforcement talks down to people who look like me. My mom pulled over 3 times in 1 month, made to wait while they checked something, always called ma'am, in a way that felt more like an insult. Those memories stuck. That's why I chased justice, not in the courtroom, not as a headline, but out in the field, where it mattered. I learned how to blend in, how to be silent and sharp, how to make them underestimate me. That's how I made it to the FBI, how I ended up on special assignment at East Ridge Precinct in North Carolina, reviewing cases, making surprise inspections. But none of my training could have prepared me for the hate in Brian Cutler's eyes when he slammed me into that wall. And that's his name, Officer Brian Cutler. White, early 40s, decorated, loud, the kind of guy who laughs at every complaint, calls internal affairs a joke, works the system like it's his birthright. He played the hero for the cameras, shook hands with the mayor, but off the record, he was the king of cover-ups. The reason he got away with it? The system. Superiors looked away, complaints got lost, body cams failed. You've heard it before, right? That morning, I'd planned to just observe, maybe take notes, but the second he laid hands on me, it all changed. The pain, the humiliation, yeah, but also perfect evidence. Not a soul in the lobby stepped in. Not a single officer looked surprised. That silence told me more than any file ever could. I picked up my badge, looked Brian in the eye, and that was his moment. The countdown started. Days went by. I requested a temporary office, 2 floors above the squad room, glass walls, files stacked everywhere, my laptop open late every night. I started pulling old complaints, calling officers in for interviews, matching timelines, tracing signatures. My assistant, Deshawn, sharp as hell, joined midweek. He brought dispatch logs, call records, patterns that screamed racial profiling. "Look at this," he said. "Every stop's the same. Black or Latino, always suspicious, never charged." I already knew. Seeing it on paper just made it real for everyone else. Brian started to unravel. The bravado slipped. Officers who used to laugh with him now went silent when he walked in. The chief, Wendell Ford old, gray, 3 decades and kept his distance, didn't want the stink to reach his office. You could feel the tension in the walls. Then, late one night, I got a tip anonymous call, static voice, locker 238, evidence room. Next morning, I went. Inside was a metal box, files, photos, a flash drive, and a handwritten list of names. All crossed out but one, mine. That's when it hit me as wasn't just corruption. This was personal. Brian knew who I was, had planned that attack. Maybe someone tipped him off. Maybe it went higher. Either way, I wasn't walking away. I watched the flash drive footage of stops, threats, even a recording from years ago, someone saying, "Keep eyes on her." The deeper I dug, the more I realized Brian was just the tip of the iceberg. Chief Ford had signed off on reports, redirected complaints, warned Brian about me. The only way to bring them down was to take the whole system with them. The next day, I went straight to the chief. Dropped the folder on his desk, let him flip through the files. "It's not just serious," I said. "It's systemic." He tried to play it off, but the evidence was bulletproof. A closed session was called, cameras, witnesses, high-ranking officials. Brian walked in, tried to play tough, but I had him. I slid over the flash drive, the list, the logs, the footage. "You got lazy," I told him. "You thought no one was watching." He snapped, said it wasn't just him, that I had no idea how deep it went, that the department would bury it all. What he didn't know, I was recording everything. When he said, "There's names you haven't seen, files you haven't found," he gave me exactly what I needed. After that, everything happened fast. Federal review. Chief Ford pulled in. Brian charged. But it wasn't over. The secret I hadn't told anyone. The real reason I wanted this case, why I fought to be assigned to East Ridge. My brother, Marcus Miles, died 8 years ago unarmed, stopped 2 blocks from this very precinct. They called it resisting, said it was justified, but no body cam, no witnesses, no justice. Chief Ford signed the report. I spent a decade climbing, earning trust, collecting every scrap of evidence, waiting for the moment I could finally bring it all out in the open. I reopened my brother's case. The DOJ got the new files, the flash drive, the reports, the evidence hidden for years. Suddenly, East Ridge wasn't just a local scandal. It was a national story. Officers started coming forward, sending anonymous emails, leaking old body cam footage. It was no longer about one bad cop. It was about a whole culture of silence, protection, and fear. Agent Ramirez, the DOJ's lead investigator, sat me down and said, "If we go public, you'll need to testify not just as an agent, but as a sister." Was I ready? Hell, I wasn't sure. But when I visited Marcus's grave, laid a white rose down, I knew I had to. For him. For every mother, every brother, every family who never got answers. Testifying meant everything came out. My grief, my anger, my truth on the record, in front of lawmakers, cameras, the country. I told them the story how Marcus died, how Brian's stops matched a pattern, how Chief Ford signed off, how the evidence proved conspiracy, not just incompetence. I told them why I waited, because I needed to prove it wasn't about revenge, but about fact. When the report dropped, it was a bombshell. Chief Ford indicted. Brian Cutler behind bars, his reputation burned. Old cases reopened, victims' names finally heard. Policies rewritten, training overhauled, a justice center named after Marcus Miles. My appointment to lead the task force made national news. I didn't do it alone. Deshawn was by my side. Denise, Elijah's mother, joined the advisory board. And every day I looked at new faces, new files, new cities that needed the same reckoning. You know what I learned? Justice never really feels like victory. It's jagged, messy, and heavy, always. But if you want the system to change, you have to keep pushing, even when it costs you. Because every story like mine is just one among thousands waiting for someone to refuse silence. So, let me ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you have kept digging? Would you be willing to carry that kind of truth, knowing it might tear your own life open? Tell me, you had part of this story hit you hardest? The injustice, the courage, the pain, the redemption? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk. Because maybe if enough of us speak up, the next time someone walks into a precinct, they'll be seen for who they are, not just who they look like. And if this story made you think, share it. That's how change starts.